Did the Phillies win? Spoiler alert. They did not while we were sleeping. Well, most of us were sleeping. Sixers. This is it. This weekend, the season finally ends. Sean Barnard joins us 8:30 a.m. to talk that and a little TikTok. Eagles make some moves yesterday. Well, a move yesterday. What does it mean, if anything? Trending in the AM. We are live on this Friday, and we're watching the Masters again. We're live in 30 seconds.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 pop.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome all to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We're live. YouTube and Twitter, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. Look, it's this easy. It's like, it's share, it's subscribe. Three quick clips. 3 quick clicks is all it takes. It's free to do. Like, share, subscribe. 3 clicks. There we go. Got the words out. Free to do, free to support a local content creator, free to help me grow this great channel, STT Sports Network, setting the trends for what sports talk should be, guys. And we got a jam-packed Friday show right here for you. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, and joining me in 30 minutes from Fox the Gambler, from Sixers Digest, from a million different things. You know him. You've heard him. You've seen him on this show before. Sean Barnard joins us as we are embarking on not just Masters weekend, but the end. This is the end. My only friend, the end. The end of the Sixers season is finally upon us. And we'll talk about that with Sean Barnard at 8:30. Did the Phillies win? No, they did not. Most of us normal, sane people went to bed and did not wait for the 2.5-hour rain delay and the near 1 a.m. ending to last night's 11-inning Phillies game. But a few people did stay awake, and they're just a bunch of sickos that don't have to be up, or they could survive on Red Bull and whatnot. But yes, the Phillies did not win last night. I'm going to chalk it up to the rain delay last night. There was some positives. We're going to get to that. Eagles add a former second-round wide receiver to their roster. What does it mean, if anything? I don't know. We'll talk about it. And let's just dive right into the first few comments that we got sitting here. Observations are not hate when the truth just is in front of you, to be consumed and not slanted. Well, the truth of the Phillies is in front of us. Some people aren't willing to say it. Justin Rose had himself a round yesterday, 2.5-hour rain delays. First of all, supposedly Justin Rose, first-round leader bet was a community win. How in the blue hell did I miss that? Everybody I know bet Justin Rose, first-round leader. Everybody but me. A little disappointed in myself missing that. I'm going to call it Josh for not letting me know about that one. How dare he? Josh Siegel. Happy Friday, Peanut. How you doing today? Hope you are well. Everybody, make sure you shoot Peanut a follow and a subscribe on YouTube. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. Phillies gave Braves the shot of life they needed. What's up, Marshawn? How you doing today? Don't worry. Sean Barnard will be here shortly. Look, they did give life to the Braves a little bit. Losing 2 out of 3 is not ideal, even in this early part of the season. Last night's game, I don't know how to react to it. Obviously, I didn't watch the end of the game. I'm not a sicko that stays up till 1 a.m. to watch a baseball game. But the way a game like that plays out, 2.5-hour rain delay on the road, it's really hard to win that game. You're already thinking about that plane trip to St. Louis to take on the Cardinals today. It's kind of a tough spot for the Phillies to win last night. But, it's still not good. You still want to win those games. We are going to talk Sixers briefly. Absolutely. With Sean Barnard. I mean, let's be honest. The next show that we go live on Monday, the Sixers season will be over. That's it. The season's over. This weekend is it for Sixers basketball. Thank God. So there will be some Sixers conversation because this has been the worst Sixers season in my history. I'm 44 years old. Pathetic. And I'm so glad the Sixers season is ending. Content outlook not good. Look, the Eagles are in the. I don't think a Terrence Marshall Jr. graphic is going to jump off the page for the content outlook. The Eagles did add former Panthers second round pick, 25, soon to be 25-year-old Terrence Marshall Jr., football player that I had a lot of hype on coming out in the 2021 draft, has been dreadful in his 4 years in the NFL so far, with a grand total of 1 touchdown in 4 years. So he's being added as a depth piece. Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle, Ohio State, someone I like for the Eagles, was a recent visit, top 30 visit, very good for the Eagles. So there is Eagles football on dock, on the agenda today. We are going to be watching the Masters. I've got it up on my screen over here, waiting for the live coverage to begin. You can't win friends with baseball. Baseball is all that matters at this point. You can't win friends talking the same draft nonsense every single day, just so you know. Mike Malone of the Grizzlies, former catch. Look, I need to know, Marshawn, for real what the deal is on why both the Grizzlies. So the rumor is, what a few people have said in the comments, that Malone and Calvin Booth, the GM, were fighting too frequently. And the owner just said, enough's enough, both of you are fired. That's weird to me. Something's off there. The Grizzlies coach, I'm not sure why they fired him. Not sure at all. So I don't know if I want them or not. Mike Malone would be the type of coach you hire if you're running it back with Joel Embiid and Paul George, in my opinion. And I hope they don't run it back with Paul George and Joel Embiid. Maybe one of them. We'll see. But the first question that needs to be asked is not who the next head coach is going to be. It's who's going to be the replacement for Daryl Morey. It's day 19 of calling Josh Harrison to fire Daryl Morey. I don't want Daryl Morey making this decision. I don't want Daryl Morey making the decision on Joel Embiid and Paul George. I don't want Daryl Morey making the decision on pick number 5 or 4 or whatever we get. And if we're running it back with Daryl Morey, yeah, maybe a new coach. To me, this, and we'll ask Sean this in a little bit. To me, this offseason smells, with the Joel Embiid having surgery and whatnot, is that they're just going to run it back with a top 5 draft pick. They're going to flip out. They're going to blame Nick Nurse. They're going to put a new coach in there, and they're going to sell the fans that a healthy Embiid, a healthy Paul George, and a healthy, Tyrese Maxey with a top 5 pick is all we need. And some parts of Sixers fans are going to be hyped. And I'm going to sit here every day and tell you, you're all nuts. Because as long as Daryl Morey's making the moves, this Sixers team is going nowhere. Wow, we are booming in the views right now early on. Oh, no, I'm looking at them backwards. That's Twitter that's booming. YouTube's not booming just yet. But please, like, share, subscribe. Let's go, guys. Wherever you're watching, all the people jumping in on Twitter, make sure you're jumping on the YouTube page. Let's go. Mike Malone, Karl Malone, Home Alone. Lakers in 5. I like that. That's funny. TMJ stinks, but he has talent. How good are your wide receiver coaches? He's the guy that Coach Reich did not know if he played or not one game. Yeah, look, I know Terrence Marshall stinks at this point. Terrence Marshall, to me, Memphis Showboats, is exactly why I don't claim to be a draft expert. Because coming out in that draft, I loved him. I thought he should have been an Eagle. I was hyped for him. I thought he was the real deal. And boy, was I wrong. And that is just classic me, that I don't know what goes on with these guys. That's why I stopped being a draft expert. I don't claim to know what I'm talking about. The guy has talent. The guy had speed. Yeah, it all came from a great program, LSU. Was he there when Joe Burrow was there? Terrence Marshall? Did they overlap? I was hyped for Terrence Marshall in the NFL. Wanted the Eagles to get him in 2021. But he does stick. He's got like 65 catches in 4 seasons. I don't even know. To me, Terrence Marshall is being brought in here to be the Paris Campbell, Joe Ross type role. Guy that's on the practice squad, gets elevated, gets demoted, gets elevated, gets cut, then brought back on the practice squad. A guy that's role is going to change 400 times throughout the season. What's up, Dives? I'm psyched for this draft, man. It's solid, even if the Sixers don't get number 1. Well, you'll be on next week, I guess, the 17th, you said? So we'll talk about the draft on the 17th for sure. The NFL and the NBA draft. We'll go down the top 5 picks, potentially for the Eagles or the Sixers, if they get the 5th pick. For sure. I don't think it's going to be enough for me to get hyped if they just run it back with a pick. To me, that's just going to frustrate me. I need that pill, Phil. I need that pick. Need that pick. Yeah. What are the odds we even have the pick? That's a question. I give this myself on. He gives me Desmond Bain vibes and Bain elite floor space IQ. One of my favorite players in the NBA. Desmond Bain is. Okay. Canoopel? Haven't even learned that name yet. I don't know. Canoopel? I don't know. We'll work on that pronunciation. Look, I haven't even gotten close to thinking about NBA draft prospects yet. Have not even gotten close. I am not going to look at one prospect other than Cooper Flagg until I know for sure the Sixers get their pick. Because I'm not even 100% sure. If you believe in any of those, conspiracy theories, the Sixers aren't getting their pick. And I don't, but maybe I do a little bit. So I am not convincing myself on any prospect till I know we have the pick. TMJ, like Mingo on Dallas, have no hunger. That's why they got cut over. Yeah, look, yeah, absolutely. You got to want it. You got to want it. And I don't know if he does. Terrence Marshall, Daniel Marshall, come on. Lakers in 5. What other names are we going to put up there that you're going to come up with counters? Daniel Marshall, man. He was a good little 3-point shooter. Played that hot minute with the Sixers, didn't he? Come on. Daniel Marshall is 10 times the NBA player that Terrence Marshall is football player. Let's not stoop to that low. Well, let's remember who we're talking about here. Paris Campbell is on. Paris Campbell signed with somebody. Was it Dallas? I forget who Paris Campbell signed with. But Paris Campbell's role with the Eagles last year is similar to what Terrence Marshall's is going to be this year. Nothing special. If he even makes the team. When numbers aren't released on a contract, that means they're signing for so little and no guaranteed money. So whatever happens with the draft lottery, the Sixers must stay focused on rebuilding. Literally no one would be excited about running it back. But see, the thing is, I am not convinced they don't run it back, Dives. I'm not. Daryl Morey is going to get the vote of confidence from Josh Harris. Daryl Morey is going to fire Nick Nurse, bring in a new coach, say Joel Embiid will be fine, Paul George will be better, with another offseason to work with Joel Embiid. Olympics won't be there to distract, whatever it may be. I am fully convinced that they are going, that what we want, what we know should happen, will not happen. And I hope I'm wrong. I want it to happen. It needs to happen. But Josh Harris, I have zero faith in him to do what's right. Although I'm sure Sean Barnard could probably get me invested again. Now, we're going to talk to Sean in a few. And we're going to ask Sean about this offseason. We are. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. It's the Phil version of the YMCA. It's all you got to do. 3 clicks. It's free to do. That's what we do now here on this show. What's up, Mitchy Poo? Sean Barnard, Paul Barnard, Sixers Life is Hard, Lakers in 5. What is Marshawn on this morning? Did you start drinking at 6 a.m.? I want whatever's in your juice this morning, Marshawn, because you're ornery and you're ready to roll today. I want to know what Marshawn's morning routine is. Whatever it is, it's got him in a good mood this morning. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the next hour or so of this show. What's up, Brianna? Good morning to you. Hope you are well. So, Sixers season is over on Sunday. And I just keep thinking of the Doors song, "This is the end. My only friend, the end." And I'm so happy it's over. Even though being over doesn't mean it's not going to happen again next year. The Phillies did lose last night. Are we concerned? Earlier already, someone said losing 2 out of 3 of the Braves gives them a little bit of life, and that's true. I will say Jesus Luzardo pitched another gem of 6 innings for the Phillies last night. ERA is at 1.5 so far this early season. 3 starts in. Corky Romano, pitched a clean inning. Matt Strom pitched a clean inning. It was John Ross this time that got blown up in extra innings. 483 until football. We're stuck at 483. It is what it is. Nobody wants to hit that subscribe button in the middle. They hit the share button sometimes. Most people hit the like button, but not enough people hit the subscribe button. What's up, Eagles fan? I can't even watch basketball, especially the Salt Sixers, but the Phillies made me sick last night. Awful, especially after 2 hours. If you were, you know what? You make me sick. If you stayed up for the 2-hour plus rain delay and then watched that game till nearly 1 a.m. last night, you are a sick, sick person. YMCA, SGA, nobody watches the PG. Oh, man. I got the Masters website up. I'm ready for live coverage, Marshawn. Live coverage of the Masters right here on my screen. Cannot wait. Phil is greater than Jim Morrison. Oh, Jim Morrison. I love Jim Morrison. Sixers season was over in January. Sixers season was over before the first game when we were told Joel Embiid is still ramping up. Let's go back in time to opening week of the Sixers season. And now we were told Joel Embiid is still ramping up. Question for Sean. How good is Cooper Flagg in terms of being an alpha number 1 player on a championship caliber prospect? Is he more like MJ or more like Scottie Pippen? That's interesting. Like, I don't even want to get hyped. I don't even like talking about Cooper Flagg dives because I know he's not going to be a Sixer. And that, to me, frustrates me. Like, I know that that's going to be the best player in this draft, hands down. He might be the best prospect of the last 2 or 3 years. And he's not going to be a Sixer. Although we need someone like him with that skill set. I like going to baseball games as if there is hot dogs. I see. Cooper Flagg, American flag, capture the flag. What's with the Lakers and 5 BS? Yeah, I usually don't watch much regular season baseball. I don't tune in until the playoffs. Oh, there you go. Look, the Phillies are a good baseball team, Eagles fan. They are. They are going to continue to be a very good baseball team all season long. And losing last night is easy for me to write it off as just part of the season. You're on the road. It's getaway day. You've got to get on a plane immediately after the game and fly to St. Louis for a game tonight. You got a 2.5-hour rain delay in a visitor's dugout locker room. It was very easy for me to turn the game off during the rain delay and not turn it back on and go to bed early. Because I knew the odds were going to be stacked against the Phillies in winning that game, knowing from what the announcer said that it was going to be a lengthy rain delay. And 2.5 hours is a very long rain delay. So I write it off. I'm okay moving on from it. I'm okay not getting upset about last night's loss. I'll tune into the occasional game in the regular season, but I do watch every football game. Look, we're all a sucker for football. I mean, that's why football runs the world, because LeBron and Luka are going to win a ring this year. Yeah, I mean, there's a strong possibility of that. There is. Phillies, Twinkies, Grandma asked me buy her another Lucy. What? I don't even know what a Lucy is. Lakers in 5. You're just you're trying too hard, Marshawn. That was a I'm trying too hard moment. Sorry. Got to tell you. Trying too hard moments is not appeasing to you. It doesn't look good on you, Marshawn. So you set the bar pretty high, and then you just wasted your time. Live coverage at the Masters. Hole 4 begins in moments. So excited for day 2 at the Masters. 3 of the top 10 guys on the leaderboard. I got outrights on. Colin Morikawa ain't that far back. My big bet. Well, we're ready to roll with day 2 at the Masters. At least I am. Phil's quality control is great. I have standards, Marshawn. I know it doesn't look like I have standards by the way I look, by the quality of effort I put in every day, but I do have standards. I hold you guys to a higher standard than I am. Not going to lie, I'm rooting for Tobias and the Pistons in the playoffs. Let's go, Detroit. Look, it's a crazy, crazy story. I saw a lot of people talking about Tobias last night on social media. Dives. If you know me, you know I've always been a Tobias supporter. I've always been a guy that's never blamed Tobias Harris for his time in Philly. The fact that he was paid to be a 1 despite being a 3 or a 4. Not his fault. So I hope he has a good run in the playoffs. I hope he can show off in the big stage under the brightest lights. I hope he doesn't have to clap back at the fans. Detroit was a perfect place for him to go. Perfect place for him to go. Team with no expectations, but a young core. A team that has the media not as burning bright as Philly. Buffalo hot dogs, I don't even know what that is. Is Tiger's kid any good? At golf, Charlie Woods is good. He's not Tiger Woods good, but we'll see. He's still pretty young. He's like 15, 16 years old. He's still developing his game. He gets a little free pass because Tiger's his dad. He'll probably go to Stanford just like his dad and play golf there. And he'll be a pro golfer at some point. Will he be good enough to contend on the tour? It's too soon to tell. But he already, what we've seen of him in those like celebrity things with Tiger, that tournament where it's father-son tournament or sibling, parent-child tournament now. It's not just father-son anymore. He's really good. He didn't do really well at the I forget what it's an amateur, but for people under a certain age, the junior amateurs. He didn't do very well at that. He finished middle of the pack at that. But he's good. If he was great, Tiger's kid being great would be great for the game of golf. Because Tiger's kid does have one thing that Tiger Woods has: a big personality, bold personality. So Tiger's kid, Charlie, being good would be great for the game. Marshawn pulled a Rory on the back 9. Man, Hideki Matsuyama's double bogey, hitting a flag stick to roll it into the water, that's just bad luck. Rory's double bogey on the back 9, that was just bad play. And Rory McIlroy's got to know better than to take that chip shot the way he did, knowing that could roll off the green instantly. See, I can give you technical golf knowledge here. Hideki, bad luck. Rory, for a guy trying to win the Masters for the first time, complete the career Grand Slam, you got to be better than that, Rory. Got to be better. How do you not know what Lucy's are? I don't. I don't know a lot of things. Remember, I'm an old man. What did Tobias do? Tobias averaged good points. I forget how many. He was a double-digit point getter this year. Helped be a veteran presence in a young locker room. He did plenty for them. Good for him. Tiger won 5 Masters. Tough bar for Charlie. Tiger winning 80 golf tournaments. Tough bar for Charlie. But Charlie will be a professional golfer if that's what he wants to do. But how about we put it this way? Tiger Woods, second best golfer of all time behind Jack Nicklaus, has a son that's a golfer. LeBron James, second best basketball player of all time, has a son that's a basketball player. Charlie Woods is 10 times a better golfer than Bronny James is a basketball player. How about that is how we describe Charlie Woods, okay? Where does Jack Nicklaus' historic numbers rank among all-time sports athletes? It's a good question. I mean, 6 green jackets, oldest, well, he was the oldest till Phil, to win a major. Jack Nicklaus, in theory, should be up there as one of the greatest athletes of all time. Borderline a Mount Rushmore. That's how special his numbers are. What's up, Andy? Are you going to watch the NBA playoffs as much as if the Sixers were in it. So here's the thing, Andy. That's a great question. I appreciate the question. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. What I'll say is when the Sixers are in it, obviously I'm watching. When the Sixers lose in the second round, I get pissed off, turn it off, and never turn it back on. So I'll watch more than I would if the Sixers lost in the playoffs. But while the Sixers are in the playoffs, not as much. Like while the Sixers are in it, I'm watching them and I'm watching any potential future opponent. But once they disappoint me and I get frustrated, I turn it off. They're not there to disappoint me. So I'll put some NBA playoff action on. Depends on what's on. Phillies will take precedent, but I'll watch some NBA. It won't be exciting to me, but it also will be to an extent like I'll be curious how the Grizzlies, I'll be curious what happens with the Nuggets, with them making those bold coaching changes right before the playoffs. Even as good as Tiger was, he doesn't sniff Jack Nicklaus. I agree. As good as LeBron James is, he doesn't sniff Michael Jordan. Plain and simple. I see your hair is burning. My hair is burning. What? Hey, yo, Dibes. Cantley was bad, too, though. On that hole. He was. Hills are filled with fire. Now they're song quotes now. Now I go. I mean, what did Tobias do last night that he was trying? I don't know why he was trying to. There was just a bunch of people talking about Tobias Harris on Twitter last night. And I don't know what started the conversation, but I loved reading all the comments. Meanwhile, Marcus Jordan, MJ's kid, was arrested for drug. Okay. All I know is Michael's kid broke it off with Scotty's kid in their wedding. Pistons beat the Knicks. Tobias had 17 points. And that's why it was trending. Like, I don't know. Look, I'm all for you, like you, Dives. I'm rooting for the Pistons. Not only Tobias, Jason, my man from Fairway to Heaven, is a Pistons fan. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I always loved Tobias Harris. Always felt Toby got a bad rap here. I remember people killing me on my Trade Joel Embiid for Cade Cunningham show. There was a whole show centered around that. How about that? That's an interesting one. I don't know if I would ever center a show around that. Look, I was wrong. I said don't trade Joel Embiid. I was wrong. Now, I don't know if we need Cade Cunningham now. I mean, Cade Cunningham's playing great, but you got Maxey, you got McCain, whatever. But, yeah, that would have been good. Hindsight's 20/20 on all things related to the Sixers, except for the few things that we knew was not going to work out, like Paul George. But you know what? In theory, it's over. It's over this weekend, guys. There is no more basketball to be played after this. We could, if Josh Harris had a clue, be looking at the last 3 days of the process era Sixers. In theory, Joel Embiid could ask out. In theory, Paul George could get traded. In theory, Morey and Nurse could be gone. In theory, the Joel Embiid Sixers era could end on Sunday. Probably won't, but in theory it could. L.A. woman. L.A. woman. Tiger Woods had better competition, still won. Tiger greater than Jack. I said what I said. Technology also helped Tiger. The one thing I will say about Tiger over Jack is they had a Tiger-proof courses. You never heard about Jack-proofing courses, right? If the Sixers win the first pick and you package that with Paul George, what could you get? We're not packaging the first pick. You're taking Cooper Flag. But maybe. I don't know. Where's TikTok boy? He's supposed to join right around 8:30. We'll ask him. We'll put this comment right up on the screen when he gets here. I'm ready for the NBA to be over as much as the NFL draft. I'm wiped, man. Yeah. I'm ready for football season to get back underway. Doing a show daily is so much easier during football season than during April and May. It really is. April, May, June for what I do is brutal, especially with the Sixers being a terrible, terrible team. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. You only package Paul George if you get like 5 or 6. So you're saying 1 in Paul George for pick 5? If you so just our draft pick is protected. Like if we trade it back, we would still get that, right? So, yeah, look, I'm not trading Cooper Flag, right? I'm not trading the chance for Cooper Flag. Not happening. But if we have 2, 3, 4, 5, I would absolutely package any of those picks along with Paul George or Joel Embiid to get off of one of those two contracts. If anybody wants to pick 2 through 6, I will put Joel Embiid's name next to it. No problem. All right. As Mitchie Pooh asked, where's TikTok Boy? So joining me on the I Have No Sponsor hotline is Mr. TikTok Boy, Sean Barnard. Good morning, Sean. How you doing today?
Yeah, good morning, Phil. Could be better and better spirits with the outlook on that there, but overall can't complain. Ready for this Sixers season to be over, and we're finally almost there.
So, honestly, till I mentioned yesterday on the show that you were coming on, and about 4 people reminded me about I totally forgot about the TikTok promise. So Are we prepared? How is this TikTok promise going to be set up? Because I need to be there live. I need to see this happening.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way to cement it still. I think my game plan as of now is I'm going to do kind of a countdown until the NBA draft lottery there. So I was debating on whether to do it for the lottery or do it for the start of next season, that kind of thing, drop like one per day, sort of the game plan with that. But I feel like there is excitement around the lottery. And in case, things do go south and nobody cares about the Sixers whatsoever next year, I do want to make sure I get it in, make the most of it.
Well, so here's the thing. So the Sixers season is coming to an end. This is the weekend. It's over. Probably, I know you're a lot younger than me, but I'm 44. This is the worst Sixers season that I've ever experienced. And I've had some bad Sixers seasons, but this one with the expectations attached to it, this is the most disappointing Sixers season, but it is over on Sunday. Is there a chance, and I just said this a few minutes ago, that this could potentially be the end of whether you want to call it the process era, the Joel Embiid era, or this incarnation of Sixers basketball? Is there any chance that Josh Harris has the guts to make the drastic changes needed to step back so we can eventually step forward?
I view the process era as Joel Embiid a part of the franchise, and with that, I don't see that door closing this summer. That I think for a lot of reasons here, some of them more in the logistical than the actual what is best conversation. I don't see a world in which Joel Embiid has moved on from. For all these same frustrations that the Sixers fan base can hold with injuries, with availability, all these conversations, every other team in the league sees these exact same things. So I don't see any world in which you trade Joel Embiid in a direction in which you directly improve the team. The only way it happens is kind of one of those, you're taking on bad contracts, you're just trying to move on from the money, which, by the way, he's on the books until 28, 29, making over $7 million by the end of that deal there. So nobody's going to be jumping at the opportunity to put that on their books. For that reason, I don't think the era is fully over. I do think the actual game plan for building out from here is almost fully dependent on what happens during that draft lottery and how that pick falls there. But they have a little bit of hope based on that, but it's not a great spot. There's no way around it.
No, and you mentioned that contract. Obviously that contract is the biggest, the Paul George contract's not good, but that Joel Embiid contract is something that's, it's really scary. And there's the person that's responsible for giving that out in Daryl Morey. And I'm sure you've seen me posting every single day that Josh Harris needs to fire Daryl Morey. Is there any chance? Because I actually don't think there's a chance that Daryl Morey gets fired. I think he should be fired. I think he should be held accountable. I think he should be, a change needs to be made behind the philosophies of building this team. And that Joel Embiid contract is his fault. He's got to be held accountable for that. Is there any chance he's held accountable for that?
Yeah, I think there's some chance that Morey is not here next year. I still lean toward it's much more likely than not that he is back with the Sixers team. There has been a lot of the smoke or the buzz regarding Bob Myers and him potentially stepping in. There's obviously the relationship with Josh Harris during his involvement with the Commanders and Myers helping out there. And obviously he is a basketball guy at his core, that he helped build the Warriors. I think he gets a bit more credit for that than he necessarily deserves there. That I think when you inherit Steph Curry as a general manager, you're at a pretty good starting spot right there. So I like Bob Myers. Don't mean to make this an anti-him, but I don't think he is this clear-cut upgrade from Daryl Morey, and sometimes the way that it is presented. I do think it's a situation where the grass is not always greener, and while you certainly can point out the misses that Daryl Morey has, in the larger scale, when you look at the overall, all the decisions as a whole, I think he's been pretty good for this team. That you got to give him credit for hitting on Tyrese Maxey, drafting Jared McCain, doing the behind the scenes to even make it possible to create a max slot and kind of all the different things that he has done from the cap and the bottom half of this roster. Guys like Quentin Grimes that he's brought in. Justin Edwards, a slam dunk through the undrafted. So I get like none of this all kind of matters when you miss at the top the way that he has. But I do think that there is more good than bad when talking about the overall picture with Morey.
All right, so I'm definitely on the other side of the equation on that. But that's also though, well, I totally disagree with that. And he did hit on Maxey, and he did hit on McCain, and he did. Everyone tells me, well, he was able to trade James Harden and get return, but he always is fixed. He makes some good decisions. Yes, McCain, Maxey, he makes a lot of mistakes. And now he has fixed a lot of his mistakes, but he shouldn't get credit for fixing mistakes, in my opinion. But again, I think he does stay. I think he's around, and he's going to make Nick Nurse fall on the sword. Is that the right? Is that the big change that's going to come? That Nick Nurse falls on the sword.
Yeah, I've thought that way through most of the season. Recently, I've kind of felt more of the vibe of Nurse might be back as well. It's bizarre because when you have a season this off the rails, it feels like somebody has to be held accountable for that. And coaches are certainly the most likely to fall on the sword there. I mean, just look at the NBA these past 2 weeks. We've seen coaches fired for far less than what Nick Nurse kind of could be held responsible for. But I mean, at the same time here, I have a really difficult time throwing all the blame on Nick Nurse either. What can you ask him to do when Joel Embiid is not there? That we saw 14 games with the big three of Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid playing together. There was more money tied to the injury report than the actual players available for almost every game this season. We're talking about 99% of their payroll being out for that specific game on a lot of nights there. So, like, I don't think it's Nurse's fault, but he also wasn't the solution there. I've definitely been underwhelmed by Nick Nurse in the larger scale of what he's done in Philadelphia to this point. But I also kind of think that he might get a pass in this. I think that the ultimate conclusion from a Sixers perspective might be this summer that you can make all the right decisions and things still go wrong. I don't necessarily think that should be the full takeaway, but that's kind of the spin that I'm starting to read from him.
The spin that you're selling, the spin that you're telling me is that for the most part, this Sixers team is going to be running it back then next season with a potentially top 6 pick in the NBA draft. And no offense, don't take me wrong. That's for somebody like me, in my opinion, that's a really depressing outlook and thought process.
Yeah, and I think everyone will feel that way. But like with all that said here, they don't have too many options to work with here. That the past summer was the wheeling and dealing, the building, that you want to build a core, have this continuity has been a buzzword that they have not had during the Embiid era. This was supposed to be the foundation laid last offseason, that there could be a couple years with this core to go together. They kind of pulled the plug on some of that already with like trading away Caleb Martin. That was a guy on a 4-year contract expected to be here. Now, granted, Quentin Grimes was who you brought in return and probably will be moving forward. But I guess like the biggest thing I'll circle back to is it is going to be a very fateful day for the franchise on May 12th, based on where the lottery falls and where their draft pick lands. If you do get a Cooper flag and you're talking about running with a starting 5 next year, where it's Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Paul George, Cooper flag, Joel Embiid with Quentin Grimes as your 6th man, you got to take that team seriously from that perspective, but it is very theoretical here. And if you don't get that draft pick, that's when we start having some tough conversations about really being stuck here. So I think May 12th, that specific date is sort of the bookmark for when they can kind of have a better idea.
You mentioned Quentin Grimes, but real quick, Dives is asking about Yabusele. Any chance? Because you mentioned Grimes and bringing him in, and I know there's a lot of hype around him and Edwards and stuff like that. I kind of feel like the Yabusele hype train kind of got quiet just because we're now expecting good play from him regularly. And I was the one that questioned bringing him in the offseason just because I thought he was just a product of dunking on Joe. What was it? No, who did he dunk on in the Olympics? LeBron. Dunking on LeBron. I said, and I'll admit I was wrong. I said Yabusele only got that contract because he dunked on LeBron in the Olympics and that he wasn't going to be anything. And he's proven that he's a more mature player than the first time around the NBA. Do they have the ability to keep him here in Philadelphia this offseason?
Yeah, still a pretty fluid question at this point. For the same thing with the draft pick conversation, that's going to impact it from 2 parts. Number one, if we're talking about bringing in a Cooper Flag or a Derek Queen or somebody like that, you're probably a little bit less interested in bringing Yabusele back. But probably the more notable part of that, it is like the dollar amount attached to that. There it is, the different cap slot and what is assigned based on each of those numbers. So it's going to kind of be a kind of a fluid question there. I'm more optimistic about it than most. I think at the start of this season, when Yabusele really had such a strong start, we were having these conversations like this dude could be getting $15 million in free agency or playing himself into a really significant contract. He has cooled off on the second half of the season, and my honest assessment, I think the largest reason for that is just being worn down. This dude went from his entire professional season to then playing in the Olympics to then coming to the NBA in a way that I don't think his body is fully built for, or anyone can really be prepared for from that. So it's nothing that I'm reading into as far as him playing worse. He's also being asked to do things that he simply won't on a properly, built out contender there. So I don't have any concerns for Yabusele, but I do think his market has shrunk a decent bit. When you do look around the landscape of the NBA, there aren't that many teams with this large amount of cap space that they can just throw at guys. So it's going to be dependent on the price range, but I do think there's a chance Yabusele's back. The unfortunate reality, the worst case, is they might not be able to offer him any more than $5 million, which does feel a little bit low for him, but we'll see how everything shapes out when the lottery falls and everything else.
Look, I won't lie. I haven't watched a lot of Sixers basketball lately. It's 3 minutes here. It's 5 minutes there. I mean, it's a tough product to watch right now. Sure. And we all know that. But, I constantly see everybody hyping up. You mentioned Quentin Grimes. We all hear everybody talking about Justin Edwards since the day we signed him after the draft and stuff like that. There's a lot of young guys that everybody, Lonnie Walker in recent, weeks and stuff like that. But I'm old enough to remember the 10-win Sixers team, and watching every game, and everybody hyped up every young player on that team. Why is the young guys on this Sixers team, the Grimes, the Edwards, why are those guys that potentially can actually be assets in the future and not Tony Roach, James Andersons, Hollis Thompsons of the world? Why are they real players and not just, okay players that are just getting buckets because they're on a bad team?
Yeah, and I think we got to take each guy with a little bit of a case-by-case basis right there.
Okay.
With all due respect to some of these guys, there certainly are some Tony Rotens on this roster that we've seen.
And I don't want to sound like I'm not watching enough play-by-play of each one to know which one they are. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, and as I'll just speak on kind of the guys I'm optimistic about. I'll start with Justin Edwards, that this dude just continues to look better and better and more comfortable and more comfortable. And I think it's insane to me that nobody drafted this dude. We're talking about the expectation as of last year was that he would be a one and done in Kentucky and have a pretty clear pathway to, if not being the number 1 overall pick, for sure a top 5 pick. And he did struggle a bit at Kentucky, but I think those struggles are largely overstated. That he got outplayed by guys that are also NBA players, Reed Sheppard, Rob Dillingham, guys who have had some flashes, not as much Sheppard, who hasn't really had that opportunity, but those are real deal NBA guys is kind of my point there. Now that he has a little bit more freedom, a little bit more opportunity, we're seeing the pedigree. He looks confident. And to contrast him with a guy that I'm fully out on, and Ricky Council the fourth here, Edwards just knows his role. He's a good basketball player, really heady basketball player. Been really impressed with him. Grimes is the other guy I'll really point to as a huge success story here. He's been given more basketball freedom than he's gotten at any other location in his career, and clearly making the most of it. He's a talented player, a first-round guy who's had some highs at the NBA level. He was a starter for the Knicks during his time there, guy that has played some real deal minutes. And I get he's obviously not going to be a guy asked to score 40 points when it is a fully put together contending team. But at the same time, you can't discount he's doing this against real deal NBA athletes and NBA players, even if it is in losing efforts and those kind of things. So Grimes and Edwards have been the biggest stars of this to me. Adem Bona also has been terrific these past couple weeks, especially the activity, the athleticism. That's a guy who's just a carbon copy, what you want in your backup center, rim running big there. So there are some bright spots.
Yeah, no, absolutely on that. I mean, hold on. If we got a lot of draft conversation or questions coming in, but yeah. Grimes completely saved Morey's ass. Maybe I don't want Morey's ass saved because of just Quentin Grimes. You know what I mean? He got that one right. He did. I get that, but I don't know. I just worry that we put too much hype. And you mentioned Ricky Council's name as a guy that you're off of. Well, last year at this very time, everybody was hyping up Ricky Council as the next guy that was going to be that next guy that injected some youth and life into this organization. And I'm worried that Grimes and Edwards, we're going to put all this hype. We're going to run it all back with pick 4 or 5 and all these guys. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's a realistic possibility. There's no way around acknowledging that is the case. There, all of this sort of stems on what the actual outlook. Can they be a contender next year? Can they be a legitimate team? It all goes back to the health questions that we can talk all we want about Justin Edwards, who I think even in his best case scenario is probably a 5th starter or a rotation player there. Even with Grimes, I think he could he's probably starting caliber NBA guard on a winning team, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that is like a 25-point per game player in the way that he has been the second half of the season. So like it all is sort of dependent on, can Joel Embiid be on the court and playing at the level that they need him to? Can Paul George return a little bit to form there? Even Tyrese Maxey has to shake off a couple bad stretches that he had this season. And like, there's a lot more question marks than answers. So I get the concern. I think it's totally fair. And ultimately, like, there is no better pathway, is I think what the Sixers will land on.
We got a lot of draft comments, but I love Steve's comment here about the only good thing that's going to happen next season is bringing back the throwback jerseys. Basically, Josh Harris is going to run it back with Daryl Morey, and Daryl Morey is going to run it back, make a tweak or two, and then the way they're going to sell it to the fans is we're bringing back the black Sixers jerseys. It's just like bringing back the Kelly Greens after a disappointing season. Like, to me, I actually fear that Steve's right on this right here. What's up, Freddie Burns? Great to see you in the comments. All right, so we got a lot of draft comments here. Before you joined the show, and since you've been here in the conversation about what the Sixers should do, what's going to happen. I think it's a long shot that they get the number 1 pick to get Cooper Flagg, not just because of the odds. Just
10.5, baby.
10.5%. It's so you're telling me there's a chance, you know?
Exactly.
So what's the point of this draft if you're not getting Cooper Flagg? Is there enough talent if they go to 3, if they fall to 6? Is there enough talent to make an impact after Cooper Flagg in this draft?
Yeah, I think certainly is the answer to that question there. And like, to me, from a Sixers perspective, the way that I look at this is they hit on the Tyrese Maxey draft pick, and that sort of extended the window to win around Joel Embiid. They hit on the Jared McCain draft pick, which I think there's a real chance could extend us into another era of winning Sixers basketball. I still think people are underselling how good he was in this brief stretch and what that can mean moving forward. This draft pick, if they can keep it, is the chance to sort of bridge all this together, that you do have a world where you can compete around Joel Embiid if he's able to return to the floor. You're also not counting on him in the way you've had to in the past. If we're talking about Cooper Flagg, and you are a Cooper Flagg, Jared McCain, and Tyrese Maxey trio moving forward, that can be a contender, the foundation of a contender for the next 10 years there. Now, beyond the Cooper Flagg conversation, to me, it should just be looked at as a win if you can get a high-level young talent. That a guy like Ace Bailey, I'm high on. You can make a case for Derek Queen. Con Knappel is really fun. VJ Edgecombe, I like. Trey Johnson. There's a lot of talent in this. You absolutely will be satisfied if you can keep a player. With that all being said, there is still a 36% chance they don't get the pick whatsoever. So it is kind of a,
Is that the number 36%?
36% that they miss out, correct.
Yeah. I won't lie, and I've said it to everybody, like, I have not researched outside of Cooper Flagg, and I for some reason I did a little research on Ace Bailey just because I don't even know why or where that came from. I haven't looked at like a single other draft prospect because even though it's 36% is in our favor that we get it, until I know we get it, I don't even want to look at the other prospects and stuff like that because, you know, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but there's a lot of people pushing them, and the NBA ain't going to let us get that pick. And I know it's a conspiracy theory, but in the back of my head, there's that 1% chance that these conspiracy theories are correct. And what's the point of researching if we're not going to have the pick? And we won't know till May.
Can I push back on the conspiracy theory, though?
Yeah.
Why are the Sixers, when you look at the list of possible teams here, why is there a better sell if you're the NBA and we're putting on the full galaxy cap here? Why would it be better to put him in Charlotte or Utah or New Orleans? Like, if you're actually looking at Cooper Flagg, this huge of a star, Philadelphia, in my opinion, is the best option for that based on the teams in this mix here. Like, when you're looking at, like, you tell me you put him on the Washington Wizards and you can maximize how much you can get out of him from a league perspective. So I get it with the conspiracy theory kind of perspective here. But I think if people are underselling, like, how poorly run some other franchises are outside of just the Sixers.
No, that's a fantastic. I get it. And I love that end of it. And I've kind of made that point before. Before you joined the chat, someone was asking about Cooper Flagg. I wanted to get your opinion. I forget who asked the question earlier in the show. Is Cooper Flagg's going to be a great player in the NBA. You know, at least that's what we think right now. He's going to be a superstar for whatever franchise drafts him. Is he more we're not comparing talent. We're just comparing superstar status in an age where there's 2-3 big stars on every championship team. Is he more like the Michael Jordan, the alpha dog, or is he more like the Scottie Pippen, the second piece of the 3 stars?
Yeah, I probably lean a little bit more on the Scottie Pippen side of things here, and I
Okay.
don't mean to discount that as a talent. The thing that like has popped off the page for me for watching Cooper Flag this year that I didn't expect is he's a winning player, man. He does the little things. He is a incredible competitor. Like the dude is off the charts competitive, that sets the tone defensively there, a guy that is a true rim protector. As far as like a player comparison kind of thing, I throw him a little bit more in like Jason Tatum's probably the closest I can get to them. He's a little bit more of like a true big man than Tatum is, as Tatum's a little more perimeter centric there. But that style of guy who can scale up, take over a game when he's asked to, but also isn't like you don't have to play Jason Tatum basketball constantly. Flag to me is you throw him on any NBA roster and he can make an impact right there, which I think is a huge credit to him. But I don't think he's probably like the Victor Wembanyama of we build this around him, although some teams will certainly take their chance on that and probably have some success. He's a very good basketball player.
So we did have one draft trade question earlier, and it kind of was the opposite of what I was thinking. Um, is there any scenario that if you were trying to really shake things up, if they move on? Because Fred, we already talked about Bob Myers. Sean's not as big of a and this idea as some are. We both agree that Daryl might need to go, but Daryl Morey is not going to go probably. So Bob Myers is not going to be the GM probably next year. But if a new GM did come in, if Bob Myers did take over, or if Daryl Morey wanted to shake it up, say the Sixers land pick 3, is there any world, or pick 2, or pick 1, that they package that pick and make a trade to get off of one of their big contracts, to make
Yeah,
it
I've
more,
seen people.
whether it's trade back or trade up or whatever they do? Is that a scenario that you think A, would be smart, but B, also is feasible?
I've seen people make the case for it. Certainly from the Sixers' perspective, I'm almost certain they will lean on the angle of we don't even have enough of a sample size to judge whether this was a
Right.
success or a failure. That they're going to talk about like we want to actually get a legitimate crack at this and try running it back here. That will be the angle they'll take. From like a opinion and logic standpoint, I just don't get the appeal of having to like pay to get off those contracts. Like to use Paul George here, which I think is a much more likely target for actually moving off him. I don't even really think the option would be on the table in the Joel Embiid conversation because of all the injury risks that we're talking about and the contract still lingering there. It's going to take a pretty unique team to take a chance on that. Paul George, I think that is a much more available option. But like, what is the worst case scenario for you continuing to pay him and him returning next year? He's going to be fine. Is he ever going to be max contract, $50 million Paul George? Probably not. I think it is fine to accept that, but he's going to be a guy that you're not mad is around or on the court. He was okay last year, even without it. So to sacrifice bringing in a young talent that you could potentially get with that third pick, to me, doesn't make sense. I would much rather just take a chance, bring in the prospect that you like, and have him play next to Paul George. That I don't think that contract is that harmful that it's worth to give up things to get off of it.
Do you think Paul George or Joel Embiid will ask out at all this? Like, I know there's some rumblings that Joel Embiid and management are unhappy with each other with the handling of his knee and his surgery and stuff like that.
We're
When those kind of things happen, that's when stars say, "I want out." And I never thought Joel Embiid would ever say that, but we also know Paul George never really. This was not his first choice to come here.
Yeah, we're certainly at the most delicate point of the Joel Embiid and Sixers relationship that I've ever seen or thought we could get to here. And I don't want to like we know the outcome of the Kawhi Leonard situation when we start to see some of those behind the scenes frustrations with his health in the Spurs organization. There are some similarities to what's going on in Philadelphia with Joel here. That really the root of this entire season and all the health concerns and frustrations is the Sixers doctors took the stance of Joel, you're just gonna have to get used to this essentially. Play through the pain, your body will adjust and figure it out. And to Joel's point of view, he's saying, my knee doesn't feel right. I'm not ready to play right now. And that's sort of what led to this uncertainty, the weird terminology, us and the Sixers themselves never knowing whether Joel's going to be available. He's getting another surgery. We'll see what the outcome of that is and how he physically feels next year. But it is tough to argue with a guy about how his body feels. And we don't really know, like, what is the outlook for Joel for here. So we'll see what happens. I don't really see it happening yet, but we're closer to it than I thought would be the case at this point of it.
I think all of that and everything we've talked about here, and we're talking with Sean Barnard here on Trending in the AM, guys, is that the biggest concern or issue or frustration hasn't even been the losing or the Stars not playing. It's the optics of how the management of the Sixers team sells it to the fan base. I mean, it was just literally 2 days ago that they finally ruled out Tyrese Maxey. We knew Tyrese Maxey wasn't playing anymore, but they kept dangling that carrot out there. And I know it's a business. I know they got to make money. They got to sell tickets. But honestly, if the organization would just be more forthright and honest, maybe we'd swallow some of these pills in tough seasons a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I'm in a full agreement there. That's like my biggest critique of the Sixers in general. And even that specific example with Tyrese Maxey, we get an update from Shams Charania, who's like one of the best hit rates of any reporter we've ever seen here, saying Tyrese Maxey is shut down for the remainder of the season. That specific day, the Sixers are playing. Nick Nurse has asked about it. So what's up? Tyrese Maxey shut down for the season. And Nurse is saying, I know he's out tonight. We don't know anything beyond that at this point. And then it's like, all right, so is that report false? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. So it's just like, you either are lying or you should know this right now, Nick Nurse. So there's definitely a huge problem with like the way they present information. For the Joel conversation, I do know a lot of that comes from his direct lane here, that he's pretty private with all his medical stuff and wants that to be treated delicately. That's why we get a lot of the uncertainty. I hate that perspective. I get like his intentions with it, but at the end of the day, you're a professional athlete, and that's sort of what comes with the territory here. So the Joel stuff, we got to throw in kind of a unique container with it. But in general, across the board, the Sixers deserve criticism for that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I won't lie. A majority of my frustration with Daryl Morey isn't the bad contracts. It's the lack of honesty.
Yep.
When multiple NBA players are going out there and talking about how much they don't trust him and they don't believe him. That's all I want. I just want to, what I always say, if you swing for the fences, they swung for the fences on Paul George. It didn't work out. Maybe it will in the future. Who knows? That's fine. I said the same thing when the big deal with Bridges, the trade for Bridges to the Knicks. You know what? They swung for the fences. If it doesn't work out, you know what? They tried. But when you're just blatantly telling us things that we can tell are not truthful, that's the problem I have with the organization. That's the problem I have with the whole group of them in that office there. And that's the problem that's got to change.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. And that this has been like, I think it's been especially bad of late in recent years, but like in fairness to Daryl, this has been a Sixers thing. This has been kind of an organization thing for quite some time here. So it's maddening. That's something that should be at the forefront for what they got to clean up. And I think even with like the Joel conversation, if we had started the year with his knee's not quite right, we're still figuring out what's going on. We want to get him back on the court as soon as possible, but got to go off how the knee responds. Like the tone would be so much different for this season. Instead, it was just he missed the first 9 games of the season. He called a suspension for the whole Marcus Hayes situation. Like it was, the train felt like it got off the tracks right from the open or the start of the season, and they can't have that. Like you got to be better than that as an organization.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just I kind of forgot about the whole Marcus Hayes situation. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie. That seems like such a distant memory right now with the way the Sixers season got. All right, I got to wrap it up here with Sean. I got to ask you one final question. I know you do some Phillies work as well, talking with Luke Arcani and stuff like that. Tonight, Aaron Nola goes on the mound for the Phillies. And I know you saw my post. I know you've seen Jon Marks' post and comments. The great Jon Marks compares Aaron Nola to just Joe Blanton. And you're younger. You might have been not a baseball expert when Joe Blanton was pitching.
I remember
But
Joe
why
Blanton.
do we get so much Aaron Nola hate? And please, can somebody explain to Jon Marks that Aaron Nola is just a little bit better than Joe Blanton?
Yeah, I don't think there's much debate in the Joe Blanton versus Aaron Nola conversation there. It is pretty shocking.
He already quote tweeted me and told me I was wrong, just so you know.
I mean, I do think Aaron Nola is one of the more underappreciated, like homegrown players that I can ever remember here. This is a guy who, when you look around the grand scheme of the MLB these days, is more durable than you're just about ever going to get with a starting pitcher. A guy who shows up, does not miss starts, and throws deep in games far more regularly. Does he have his clunker innings? Or does he have his clunker performances once in a while? It happens with Nola, and it is maddening to me that it does feel like there is always that one inning there. But the bottom line is, like, the grass is not greener, and you look around at other options, we should be pretty appreciative of Aaron Nola. He's never going to be this top end, Cy Young candidate in the way that maybe some might hope, but he's pretty close to it, man, and we should be grateful for having him on this Phillies team. So I am a Nola supporter, and I do think he's going to go out there and shove tonight.
So I just to know, because everyone loves Cole Hamels, right? Cole Hamels is one of the all-time great Phillies pitchers, according to all. I compared the first 10 years, because we're in the 10th year of Aaron Nola here, so I put up all full 10 years of Cole Hamels, put them side by side. Aaron Nola is literally, by the end of this year, if he pitches like he normally does, will be on par with every single statistical category of Cole Hamels. And on top of that, he won't have the World Series. Well, he might have the World Series victory. We don't know. He's got 4 top 11 Cy Young finishes in voting. Cole Hamels did not have that. Cole Hamels in his whole career had 4 top 10 Cy Young years. Aaron Nola's already had 4, with his best being 3rd place, I believe it was, in a few years back. So Aaron Nola is going to end up on par with every single record in Philadelphia Phillies. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because I need someone to give me some Aaron Nola love here, you know?
Yeah, and I'm with you. I couldn't have never been able to fully put my finger on like the pulse of why. I think some of it is like his style as a pitcher. That Nola, like, he's not going to throw a Jesus Luzardo slider. He's not going to be a power pitcher in the way that Zach Wheeler is, where he can just gas it by you and those kind of things. He is like, I don't want to say like boring, but he just is does his job, does the routine. Nothing too special about him. Handles his business. I think that's like a good trait in a player there. Like I like that about Aaron Nola, but I don't think it is as sexy or stands out in the eyes of some fans when viewing it. So I don't know. Nola, he continues to be him. He will do that this season, and I do think when we look back on it in the post Nola era, that he will go down as really underappreciated, and people kind of put together how important that he was to this Phillies team.
Well, thank you very much for your time this morning, Sean. I'm sure you got a busy weekend doing what you do, which is never stopping to work.
Yeah, be at the Fox Sports The Gambler Studios bright and early tomorrow, and there for the long haul. So we'll be buckled in.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your time, and it's over. Thank you. The interview and the Sixers season. So thank you very much. That was Sean Barnard right there on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. Guys, again, remember, YMCA, like, share, subscribe. Guys, you're watching Trey in the AM. Round 2 of the Masters is underway. We got lots to talk about, lots to keep up with from the Sean Barnard interview right there. What facts did I omit on Cole Hamels, please? Nola is good sometimes. Nola is great sometimes. Hope you are well, Todd. Good to see you in the comments today. The issue with Nola is that it's 2025. Well, I don't understand that. Nola is consistently inconsistent. Nola is consistently consistent, actually, when you look at his numbers. If you compare the first 10 years of Aaron Nola's career to the first 10 years of Cole Hamels' career, they are on par with each other outside of the World Series victory. Just so you guys know. Still kink over profile photo, cool glasses. Thanks, Freddie, for that one. I always look at that every time. Oh, man. I disagree. I think he's consistently consistent. 483. Somehow, this hasn't happened by anybody yet today, okay? We haven't enough of these. There should be at least 20 of these. And we should have more of them 483 right there. That's my YMCA thing going on right there. Nola's like a magic ball. You never know. I think you know what you're going to get. You're going to consistently get 6 innings. You're going to consistently get 7 innings. You're going to get kept in the ball game. Everybody started crushing and crashing on Aaron Nola after he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings to the LA Dodgers last week. Meanwhile, Christopher Sanchez gets a standing ovation after giving up 4 runs in 5 1/3, or whatever it may be. It's not good enough. He is perfectly fine, Aaron Nola. 8, what's that? 8 likes? That's not good enough. So I'm comparing him to Cole Hamels, who was nothing special. Okay, all right. So that's what you're saying? All right. Now, Cole Hamels is one of the most, shouldn't say one of the best Phillies pitchers of all time, but Cole Hamels is one of the most loved Phillies pitchers of all time because he was here when we won our first World Series in 28 years. He spent a very long portion of his career. He's loved by the fans. Probably loved more now after his career than while he was here. And I kind of feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Aaron Nola hate that gets thrown around, wasn't there a lot of similar hate to Cole Hamels during his playing days as well? Maybe. He is consistently consistent majorly majority of the time. You know exactly what you're getting, and once in a while you get Cy Young effort. Again, the guy's finished in the top 11 of the Cy Young voting for the last 7 years, once being 3rd or 4th. So the guy is consistently putting out top 10, top 12 pitcher seasons. It's not number 1 seasons, but he's consistently putting out top 10 pitcher in baseball quality work over a season. I need Rom to play great round today. He was in the his head worse than foam yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I put Rahm in both my showdown lineups today because I fully expect John Rahm to make the cut and make a. I could see a 69 from Rahm today. I just picked that score for Mitchie Poo. Who's hitting out of the bunker? Who was that just hit out of that bunker? Hit it completely across the green. Unless that ball's going to come back. The hills on putting greens at Augusta National, man. Nothing quite like it. Nothing quite like it. Nola is a number 3 starter on a good team. I disagree. I think he's a number 2 on a good team. Maybe he's number 3 on a great team. Maybe he's number 3 on an elite team. But on a good team, he's number 2 for sure. Phillies are lucky to have Nola. I agree. Me and Rick, we disagree on a lot with the Phillies this year. But we do not disagree on this. I am 100% on board that the Phillies should be lucky, considered to be lucky to have Aaron Nola on their team. Hamels got hate after 09 World Series because he was complaining about being tired. Yeah, maybe that's part of it too. I did it for you. I did it for you, Mitchie Poo. Just like Rikishi did it for The Rock. I did it for you. Why is Nola ERA at about 350 every year? That's mediocre. I mean, in this day and age, is it really that mediocre? In this day and age where offense is all that's matters to everybody, 3.5 is pretty damn good. He's a 2. He's a 3. I think we're pulling needles there. I just think what brings up the Aaron Nola hate in today's show to close the interview with Sean Barnard. And guys, make sure you're following Sean Barnard on all social media platforms. Obviously, he does great work with Fox the Gambler at Sean_Barnard1. One of the hardest working, young, rising guys in the media. Doesn't pull any punches. Kind of shocked how much love he gave to Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse and the Sixers season. But I bring it up because the highest rated guy out there, Jon Marks out there, comparing him, not to Cole Hamels, but comparing him to Joe Blanton. Mr. Got to have his Chick-fil-A before every start, Joe Blanton. In no world is Aaron Nola even in the same conversation as Joe Blanton. A scale of 1 to 10, how do you rank Nola? Overall, this season, or in the grand scheme of things? In the grand scheme of Phillies pitchers, when his career is over, I feel Aaron Nola will be a top 10 Phillies pitcher of all time, especially if we win the World Series like Rick thinks. I think if Zach Wheeler is a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, Aaron Nola is an 8, a 7.5 to 8. Nola's okay when you zoom out. But when you zoom in, you see on every given inning, he battles out there. Joe Flacco signed with the Browns 1 year. How many quarterbacks do the Browns have now? Jeez. I give it to you. Love it. Love it. That the guy keeps making money. I think Bryson wins the tournament by 5 strokes. He looks awesome. You know, it's crazy because 3 of the top 10 names on the leaderboard I got outrights on, one not being Bryson. And for some reason, I got a 30% chance there now on the outright. And I feel like you might be right. Bryson learned from last year's 65 in round 1 that just shooting low in round 1 doesn't win you the tournament. So I expect a very aggressive Bryson this morning going out. I really do. I expect to see him charge up the leaderboard a lot. 4.46 last year. Was that his ERA? I'm not sure. 3.5 ERA ain't me exactly. In this day and age, I think 3.5 is a much better ERA than people realize. I think the problem is people expect him to be a wheeler, and he isn't that. Never was it. And how many wheelers are in there in baseball, Freddie? That's the thing. Being the 10th or 12th best pitcher in the National League is great to have on your team when you've got the best pitcher in the National League on your team as well. That's the thing. Like, yeah, he's the 12th best pitcher in the National League. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. How about Fred Couples yesterday? Yeah, I mean, he had a holdout. Yeah, he's still, dude, Fred Couples' swing is still so natural and so pure. I love watching him and Bernard Langer and even Mike Weir tee it up yesterday. I love watching the old-timers tee it up at Augusta. Sean Barnard is the man. I mean, I don't know. Between him and Chris Franklin, who's been on this show as a guest more? I'm not sure. But I love Sean Barnard. The guy works so damn hard. The guy does everything. Smart dude. He'll be going places. He already is places. Aaron Nola is living embodiment of FIP being a lie. FIP. I almost took him in my pool. I think Bryson's got a damn good chance to win. I just got here when you were talking about Nola, so it's all good. Hey, that's what we're here for. Opinions differ. It's okay. I don't have to agree. We could discuss the different sides of it, but that's just the way I feel about Aaron Nola. I think Aaron Nola is a underappreciated Phillies pitcher. 7. I say 7.5, 8, but okay. Phillies fans need to be more appreciative of starting rotation. Has kept this team. Yeah, I know, honestly. With our starting rotation, without it, we'd be struggling right now. Top 10 pitcher of a franchise with historically S pitching. All right, so that's another whole topic, though, Nooms. You're changing. I'm giving you the answer, and you're changing the question. Wheeler will end up top 5 Phillies pitcher of all time. I already think he's 5 all time, maybe 6 at worst all time. I already ranked Zach Wheeler ahead of Roy Halladay. I know it's a controversial take, but I already do. Is Nola better than Zach Gallen, who had a no-hitter through 6 innings in the World Series? Probably not. Zach Gallen's won a Cy Young already in his career, right? What happened to Morikawa? Don't worry about Colin Morikawa. Being even after the first round of the Masters is a great spot to be. Don't worry. Justin Rose, 7 under yesterday. Remember, Bryson DeChambeau shot 7 under in his first round last year. And ended round 2, still at 7 under, just so you know. So the first 2 rounds of the Masters are just about surviving. Then Saturday is called moving day. That's when you move up the leaderboard. And then you win it on Sunday. But I am not concerned. I actually almost put another bet because his odds dropped to like 28 or 29 to 1. I almost threw a couple extra bucks on another Colin Morikawa bet because that's how good he is. Comparing Nola is laughable, but comparing Nola to Wheeler is pretty close. No one's comparing him to Wheeler. If you swink your eye through enough at Nola, you will see Wheeler. No, you won't. Wheeler is top tier. Wheeler is the best pitcher in the National League. Wheeler is a top 5 Phillies pitcher all time. I love how the Sixers talk immediately end it. No, I mean, I want to address what Sean Barnard said, that he thinks that Daryl Morey will be back and there's a damn good chance that Nick Nurse is back. I want to address those comments because I will be one pissed off Sixers fan if that happens. What will you feel like, K1, if what he says is true? If that they just basically run it back with a top 6 pick. How pissed off will you be? Yeah. Freddie Couples, the most natural swing in golf at 65. We're going to rip the Blanton comparison and just let the Wheeler comparison slide. I just laughed off the Wheeler. We're obviously not comparing Nola to Zach Wheeler. You can't think, Dooms, that Joe Blanton and Zach and Aaron Nola are the same pitcher. You can't. That's atrocious of a comparison. That's a clickbait comparison from a guy that we should expect better from in Jon Marks. Who the hell took that shot on that par 3 and put it 60 yards left of the green? I was missed that. We'd rather talk golf than the Sixers. It's what it seems like. It looks like the early going here on holes 4, 5, and 6 are playing extremely difficult this morning. People only like Nola because he came out from the Phillies farm system. That, Barbara, is probably partially true. And how do I phrase this the right way? Do we put too much stock in ranking players because they're homegrown talents? Because I don't care if they're homegrown or not. As long as they win here and perform up to the standards we expected them here, I don't care if we traded for them, signed them free agency, or drafted them. It doesn't matter. Baseball to me is a sport that keeping your homegrown talent is such an overrated thing. Halladay's time here was too short. Halladay had 2 great seasons in Philadelphia, and that was it. People are still chasing the 18 and 22 season like it's a crypto pump. Oh, man. The Mets cut Wheeler, then the Phillies signed him. Yes. Yes, that's true. I don't know if they cut him. They just didn't renew his contract. What happened to Henley yesterday, Phil? Horrible round. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to Russell Henley yesterday. I don't even know what he scored yesterday. Russell Henley's nowhere on my card, so I don't know. No one is comparing him to Wheeler at all. Only the Nola haters. Yeah. Let's face it. The Sixers are doomed. The Sixers are doomed if what Sean Barnard says happens, without a doubt. Sixers talk. Glad I missed that. Yeah, exactly. Look, the only reason why the Sixers are on the conversation today, and they'll probably be on the conversation on Monday too, is because the season's over. This is the last trending in the AM of the 2024/2025 Sixers season, and we're celebrating the end. And Monday, we might celebrate new beginnings. Who knows? I'm pre-prepping a Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey, and both firings graphic. So where I'm at work or here, I can go live immediately when they are fired. Donovan with Boston College could be a sneaky trade up for Howie. He was already, let me check my notes. I think he's already part of the top 30 visits for the Eagles. I want to say he was one of the names on my list. Could be totally wrong on that. Nope, yeah. He was brought in already as one of the top 30 visits. And as I talked about on the Eagles check down this morning on the Eagles Pinball Podcast Network, out of the top 30 visits, the last two drafts, 6 of the 7 first picks over the last 2 years have come in. 9 of 16 draft picks over the last 2 years, all at top 30 visits. So they don't bring guys in unless they're really legitly interested in bringing them in. I'm actually wearing a Sixers hoodie for the first time to honor the end of the season this weekend. Maybe I'll do the same, Freddie. Maybe I'll go rock my Ben Simmons jersey today. The Sixers can't hurt me anymore. They can hurt you if they bring everybody back. Who is Nola closer to, Wheeler or Blanton? I don't think he's close to either. If Wheeler's a 10 and Blanton's a 5, Nola's an 8. 7.5. He doesn't have to be close to either. He's not the best pitcher in baseball, and he's not a number 5 starter. Why does he have to be closer to one or the other? Why can't we just appreciate that Aaron Nola goes out there every 5th day, gives you 6 or 7 quality innings? He's not a guy that's going to throw a no-hitter. He's not a guy that's going to strike out 12 batters every game. He's not going to go out there and pitch 25 straight scoreless innings. He's a guy that's going to give you a quality start every single outing and keep you in the ballgame. Yeah, he's going to give up a few solo home runs here and there. Guess what? Cole Hamels used to give up a lot of solo home runs as well. Thinking Nola's going repeat 2018 is like not dating someone for 8 years because your ex is still trying to figure things out. Don Henley. Yeah, not Russell Henley. Don Henley. This is the end. My friend. The end. I forget all the words of the end. I might even get tickets for negative 50 cents on Sunday and take the fam. Yeah. They're going to pay you 50 cents per person. Henley went +7, not a single birdie on the day. Never seen him putt. I didn't even know. Wasn't on my card. Doesn't mean he's not going to go out and shoot 69 today. He was right in the middle. Right in the middle. So he's not closer to one or the other. But comparing him to Blanton, to me, was just such a blatantly disrespectful thing to do. That's a shame, because I'm actually a Joe Blanton fan. I love the story of him being interviewed about how he had to have Chick-fil-A before every start. Huge guy. Huge Joe Blanton fan. If it's the Nolas and the Harrises that get overpaid and make me have to change streaming services all the time. See, the thing is, don't blame the Nolas and the Harrises for being overpaid, Nooms. That's the problem. People blame them for being overpaid. There's no reason to blame them. You blame ownership for overpaying them. You blame the GMs for giving out the contracts. That's the thing. If you're offered, Nooms, to do your job, which I forget. I know you said what you do. I forget, though. If you're offered 10 times what you're worth to do your job, are you going to tell me you're going to turn it down? Because I'm not worth that much. I'm only worth this much. No. So you don't blame it. Aaron Nola offered, what was it, 7 years? What was it, $170, $180 million? Yeah, he wasn't worth that much. But is he going to turn that down? Tobias Harris got offered a max contract. He wasn't turning that down. It's not their fault. Blanton is the man. He is. I love him. Nola's not. He's not on Tobias Harris level of hate either. Too. Cut line is at +2 right now. I can see it getting to +4. Yeah, I think the cut course is going to play very tough. I think +4 is a very realistic expectation for the cut. Maybe even +5, but probably +4. Charles Graham from William and Mary could be a day 2 pick. He's been someone that they've brought him. I know I've mocked him to the Eagles a few times. I want to say he's on my list too. My list is a few pages back here. I got to look for it. Want to say he's on my list of top 30s. Yeah, he was the second one announced actually. So he was on the top 30. But again, 9 of the last 16 top draft picks were top 30 visits. So just goes to show. And then they go ahead and bring them the ones that they don't get in free agency a few years later. Watched the T-Wolves game last night because the Phillies were in rain delay. It was a fun game. T-Wolves played the Grizzlies last night. Justin Edwards had a big game. I caught some highlights of it. Once the Phillies game went into the rain delay, kind of decided to call it an early night. Harris is in his right role now, 14, 6, and 2. Absolutely. And he's getting paid a reasonable money for what he does. Problem is, he wasn't turning down all that big bucks. No reason to. I'm turning down the job. There's be zero stability. You're turning down a job that overpays you because you're not worth it. No, thank you. I don't know if that's a good thing. Sorry, watching a really tough chip shot here. Chipping it way away. Let's see if it rolls back a little bit there. Not a bad shot from where he had to play from there. It was like 40 yards. He actually needed yardage on that shot. That's how far off he was. Man. In a league where consistently solid starting pitches is tough to find, we're extremely lucky to have Nola here. He is way better than a lot of the direct pitchers. Absolutely. Aaron Nola, if Zach Wheeler's the number 1 or number 2 pitcher in the National League, Aaron Nola is definitely a top 15. Probably like 12th best pitcher in the National League. And we're lucky to have 2 top 12. It's like we've got 2 top 15 we got 2 top 10 wide receivers on the Eagles. We don't complain about Devontae Smith not being good enough. We got 2 top 15 pitchers. Trade for Jon Marks. I don't know about that. I don't want Jon Marks. I would have said that before, but not anymore. In the real world, you would keep the job for 4 months before you were exposed. Yeah, now that's true. That's true news. That's another whole subject of the problems with the NBA. Loved it, Freddie. Fun game. Ant-Man. Well, I don't know where the MVP voting is right now. Bar, maybe you can tell me who's the leader in the clubhouse. But I said before the season started that SGA would win the MVP this year for the Thunder, but that Anthony would be a very close second. Aaron Nola is the Phillies' Devontae Smith. I think that's a slightly respectable, slightly not respectable opinion. Like, Devontae Smith is better at wide receiver than Aaron Nola is a pitcher. Because Devontae Smith could be a number 1 on a lot of teams. Aaron Nola could be a number 1 on a bunch of bad teams. I don't know how many teams he'd be the number 1 on, though. Legit first game I've watched in some time. I caught end of Pacers Cavs, too. Look at that. All the Phillies fans watching NBA basketball during the rain delay last night. No Jon Marks. No. You have to see the grenade celebration. No, it's going to get him suspended and fined, if anything. Look, there was a time about a year ago where I said trade for him, but yeah, he's too much of a head case to want him. Look at this. Everybody says the NBA is unwatchable, but yeah, everybody's watching the NBA during the rain delay. I love it. Maybe I'm going to have to start watching some NBA basketball come playoff time. Maybe. Doubt it, but maybe. We are missing putts left and right, everybody. The greens on these holes, 4, 5, and 6 right now, are lightning fast to start round 2. There are going to be a lot of big scores. As easy as 4, 5, 6 played yesterday, they're playing 10 times harder today. 10 times harder. Playoff-style games is why playoff NBA is a different animal. That's fair, for sure. What's one more head case? Yeah, what's one more? I've watched more NBA since Luka traded. Yeah, still can't believe that happened. Still haven't figured out how that happened. We need an NBA team in Philly. We do. But according to Jon Marks, we're gonna have the same NBA team in Philadelphia next year. No one would even give about John Morant if his vertical was 7 inches less. What? I don't know any about that stuff. I played online poker during the rain delay. NBA is garbage. Yeah, I never got back into playing online poker. I lost money on Black Friday. And I've never gone and played online poker again since then. Just so you know. Never done it again after Black Friday, which is weird because I got plenty of money on DraftKings and Fanatic Sportsbook. But my thing is, why don't DraftKings or Fanatic Sportsbook add a poker game to it? Like, why don't they have Texas Hold'em on it? It'd be easier. I probably would play again. His return to Dallas on Wednesday was a good one to watch. Yeah, I mean, I saw the standing ovations and stuff like that, so I got that aspect of it. Guys, we're coming up to the final 5 minutes of today's show. So what's happening this weekend? The Phillies got a 3-game series against the Cardinals in St. Louis. Aaron Nola goes tonight. We're going to need a huge game from Aaron Nola, considering the late time that they got in. The team's going to be tired. The Sixers season ends. We'll continue talking the new Sixers, or the offseason for the Sixers on Monday. We'll recap the Masters. But here's the question. I am considering going live on Sunday for 4 hours. Considering going live for entire final grouping, final round of the Masters. Whenever the final group tees off, going live for 4+ hours to have a Masters champion crown. Should I do it? Can I go live for 4 hours? I don't know. That would be the longest live stretch I've ever done. I'm considering going live for 4 hours on Sunday. We can talk all sports while we talk golf as well. Thinking about it. What do you guys think of that? I like Luka, but not the Lakers. That's a tough one, too, for me, Barb. Very tough one for me. Take 2 out of 3. Tonight's going to be a tough game. Getting in late to St. Louis. God, the game was over at 1. They probably didn't land in St. Louis till probably 5 or 6 this morning. Trust the process 2.0. I would be more okay with this than running it back. Oh, Thable's still on the number at +4. Who's your last Sunday pairing at the Masters? Colin Morikawa. And I'm going to change it now because of what happened yesterday. Colin Morikawa and Akshay Patea. There, we're going to go with a bold final pairing there. Every team needs a Nola, but not every fan needs to ride his meat like Stiefel. Am I riding his meat because I say he's not Joe Blanton? Is that what I'm doing? Go compare his first 10 years to Cole Hamels. Is Nola pitching against a minor leaguer again? I don't know who's going in the matchup tonight. Morikawa and Akshay, yeah. If it rains, you should definitely do it. It's definitely going to be doing something. I don't know. But as long as my work schedule is good, we're going to see what happens here. Your show got a shout out on it. Oh, I appreciate it. I haven't caught yesterday's episode yet, but I try to catch it on replay. Your show's past my bedtime. I'm in bed by 10:30 every single night. You men with your golf. Golf's a great sport, and it's the Masters. Pause. Like, share, subscribe. Do the YMCA. Like, share, subscribe. Late road trip, late arrival. I hear the doors of the excuses emporium open. Look, that's why I say Aaron Nola's got to perform, because it's up to Aaron Nola to keep this team in a game tonight. He can't give up 3 runs in 6 innings. He's got to go out there and pitch one of those 6-inning, 1-run games. Oh, my God. You're just not letting me go today. You're not letting me go. Have a good, you too, Barb. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. It's going to be cold today and tomorrow. Phil got a mention on Roto. Yeah, I wasn't bragging. Wasn't bragging. I don't flex when people, I just expect people to mention me. I don't want to know what Rick said about me. Probably about my Phillies takes. But anyway. But guys, you should all subscribe to Rick's channel as well. Guys, it's time to wrap this up. Time for me to get to work and make the dough, literally and figuratively. So guys, if you're in the Kennett Square area this weekend, come on out to Kennett Square. Come on out to Fox's Pizza. 8 innings, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts tonight. I don't know. Maybe. I would like that. That would be good. You'll flex for me. I don't have muscles. I can't flex. I just can't. But thank you, Steven. If I go live on Sunday, I'll invite you on for a little while if you want. But with that being said, guys, it's time for me to wrap it up. Another fun-filled week of trending in the AM. Again, please, guys, we gained no subscribers this week. So please like this video, share this video, subscribe to this video, and please go out there and find a friend or two to subscribe this weekend. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. It mean the world to me. Justin Rose 1 under already today. What the F is up with that? Phillies win 6-9. Yeah. Henrik Lundqvist would take this abuse from Rangers fan. Yeah. You got nothing but love. I appreciate it. You know I got nothing but love for you as well. But, guys, I got to wrap this up. Everybody have a great day. Everybody have a great weekend. Cheers to y'all. Go Birds. And bubbles up.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep.